There you are. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's move on with the lesson real quick. As I said, we're going over 5.05 and 5.06. So we're going to be human impact on the environment, and then also a focus on economic systems, more basing it over in Europe. So our objectives on when we're talking about the environment are, we're going to talk a little bit about acid rain and kind of what that is, glacial effects. So as the glaciers are melting, the sea are rising, and what it is doing, especially to some of the places in Europe, because we talked about it's the land of many peninsulas, and a lot of it is on the coast. Impact of pollution, and genetically modified food, which is kind of an interesting topic, at least I think it is. Okay, let's do a little poll question real quick. Okay, humans attribute to which fraction of acid rain? Would it be A, 1/3, B, 1/2, C, 3/4, or D, 2/3? Sorry how the PowerPoint kind of got mixed up right there. So 1/3, 1/2, a half, 3/4, or 2/3. Let's have you answer the question real quick. Okay, we don't have many here. Let's have everybody answer. Give you a second to think about it. What humans attribute to which fraction of acid rain? Okay, the correct answer is 2/3. So 2/3 are of acid rain. Now, you maybe ask, like, acid rain, if we only contribute, humans only contribute to 2/3, what's the other third? Can anybody have any ideas of what the other third of acid rain comes from? Just type in the chat real quick. Any thoughts? Okay, so here's an example. Over in Hawaii right now, you've probably seen on the news how the volcano eruptions are happening, and it puts a whole bunch of chemicals in the atmosphere. Okay, so it's due to the Earth making its own things. Volcanoes, correct, right? So volcanoes are making that, and they attribute to acid rain. So those chemicals are going up in the air, and then the perspiration is starting to come down, and it comes down in the form of acid rain. Okay, so the two main causes of acid rain are, one, if we look at our PowerPoint, industrial emissions from factories and other man-made pollutants. Okay, so that would be, yeah, it's alright if you don't spell it right. It's all good. I'm not the greatest speller either. So cars that are on there, you know, oil refineries, that kind of stuff that makes the pollutants. The other ones are natural causes, okay, the other 1/3, which we talked about. So volcano emissions, lightning can actually cause it, and other microbiological events happen. So it is a natural process, acid rain, but we have humans contribute to it a little bit as well. Well, as we know, 2/3 of it. Alright, so let's do another poll question real quick. Okay, what percentage of the Earth's land is covered by glaciers? Okay, is it A, 50%, B, 25%, C, 10%, or D, 15%? What percentage of the Earth's land is covered by glaciers? Okay, so we have a couple answered already. Okay, Deja, do you have an answer? Mitchell, Oakley? Sander? Okay, it's alright if you get it wrong. It's not like you're going to be great on this. Let's just think about it. The correct answer is C. Okay, so it looks like a lot of you guys got it right. Fantastic. So 10% of the Earth is covered by glaciers, and that is in the North Pole and the South Pole, where it's really cold, where it doesn't get a lot of sunlight. We've talked about why that is in geography as well. So here are some facts. Now, the Alps are one of the places where glaciers are not, it's not at the poles, but it's over like in Switzerland area, but very high in altitude, which means it gets really cold and you have glaciers up there. So here's some things that are happening in the Alps, okay? About 10% of the Earth's land is covered with glaciers, which we already just talked about. During the last ice age, glaciers covered over 32% of the land, okay? So most of the land was at once a time covered by glaciers. Can anybody think of an old lake that was basically glaciers at the time, and then when it melted, it became a big lake here in Utah? Does anybody know what that is? Big lake. It covered basically almost all of Utah. Lake Bonneville, very good. Yep. So Lake Bonneville, the remnants of Lake Bonneville are actually the Great Salt Lake. Dried up Sevier Lake, which is down there, and Utah Lake. All of those are remnants of Lake Bonneville. Very good. You're going to say Lake Powell. So Lake Powell is actually a man-made lake because we've dammed it up. We've dammed up the river. There, the Colorado River, to make Lake Powell. But good thoughts there. Now, it's good to know, your different lakes around. Glaciers store up to 75% of the world's fresh water. So that's kind of important as well, because when you have these runoffs of these glaciers, they're fresh, pure water. As soon as they get into the ocean, they don't become pure, fresh water anymore. They're salty, and we can't use the water like we could if they were still in glacier form. The Antarctic ice is more than 2.5 miles thick in some areas, which is absolutely amazing. If you think 2.5 miles down is how much ice there is and how much buildup, so you can imagine. So for example, if all of the ice melted in sea levels, the sea would rise 230 feet worldwide, and it would basically cover, so let's think of California. It'd basically cover up California and go to the Sierra Nevada mountains. So that's how much water is being kind of stored on the earth that is not really accessible. Okay, let's go over to something else completely different, that's the way things that humans have done. There is something called genetically modified organisms, okay? So if you kind of look at this picture right where I'm kind of putting the sun at, let me get my little finger here. Right here, you see that picture right there of the it's kind of like a doctor, more be like a physicist or something like that, how they're actually shooting the tomato up with something. We have done that. We have modified food so it gets better yield. So basically means that it produces more. It gets bigger. We've also done this to animals as well. For example, like chickens, right? Nobody likes to eat a chicken leg that's really small. We like big chicken legs. So we've shot them up with steroids and other kind of things that we've done. Well, there are instances where this can be a benefit, okay? So some benefits of doing this is sometimes you can make it more nutritious, okay? It's resistant to disease, drought. So for example, they have what's called Roundup Ready crops. So in these areas where they grow a lot of, let's say wheat, for example. So the wheat back about 20 or 30 years ago used to be about 10 feet high. Now they're only about 2 feet tall. These places, they're 2 feet tall, and they yield, or they produce, about 5 times as much wheat in that 2.5-inch thing. And that's because we've genetically modified them. And what we've done is we've created them so they're resistant to, they don't need as much water. So like if we don't have enough water, it's resistant to drought. It's resistance to like different pesticides that we put on it. And so we've kind of put on it there. And it's like increase the food supply and longer shelf life. But I think we've seen a lot of potential risk with GMOs as well. Has anybody heard of the disease called, I guess it is kind of a disease, I don't know if I want to call it that. Maybe I'll call it a disease. Celiac? Have you ever heard of celiac before? Or somebody that has maybe a wheat intolerance? Give you a second while you're typing there. So basically what that is I might have heard of it, but don't know. Okay. So what has happened is we've modified these things so people's stomachs aren't used to having stuff like that, right? It's been modified, it's been altered, and so it's basically caused a lot of people who they can't have wheat anymore. So any kind of bread, it makes them sick, and their body basically rejects that type of food. So you've seen that a lot where I've seen it become more and more common, and people think this is because we are genetically modifying food. Other potential things is people think that it's causing also like a lot more weight gain and stuff like that as we're modifying foods. And so, for example, maybe like corn syrup. Maybe you've heard of corn syrup before, but that's almost in everything now. They put it in all types of food to basically supplement it so it kind of helps preserve longer, has a longer shelf life, that kind of stuff. So there are some bad things to genetically modifying food as well. But we are feeding more people with it, but there also are the risk like people getting celiac and other things that may have be attributed to it. So it's just something to think about. All right, let's go on to 5.06, which is different economic systems. And in Europe, they have a whole bunch of different economic systems, and it really plays an impact to the culture of Europe because, so your mom has celiac. Yep. Yeah, like it's not any fun. Like you can't eat pizza. Oh, if I couldn't eat pizza, I'd be, yeah, or like some pastas and stuff like that, or bread. It's not any fun. So yeah, let's talk about different economic systems in Europe. So Europe, the culture is a lot based upon the economic systems. If you remember the Cold War and how they split up East Germany and West Germany, right? And basically anything west in Europe was capitalist, and the other one was a command economy, which is basically communism. And so those, they struggle in that kind of area. They're still feeling the impact of it, some of the Eastern European countries, even though they're a capitalist society now. They just don't have a lot of wealth and a lot of economic structure. So not very good hospitals, stuff like that. So let's talk about some of these things. Good government functions, okay? You can kind of see these right here. Maintain a legal framework, maintain competition. So basically, you have that free market system where you can choose what you want to buy and choose what you don't want to buy. Providing public goods and services, so natural defense, education, roadways, that kind of thing. It's important for the well-being of the country. Redistributing income, so being able to help out the poor that may need it for some government assistance. Correcting for externalities, so basically you have taxes and stuff like that that are provided to help the welfare of all, and then a stabilizing economy, so people are making money and they can pay for things, right? So some of these places, like a gallon of milk, you know, here it's maybe like $3. In some other countries, it's like $15, which is crazy, and they can't pay for it. So to be able to have an economy like that is big for people. Yeah, it's big for people to not riot in the streets. And you see these things like on the news and stuff, like people have got up and they're all in arms and they're fighting against the government. It's because they're not providing these things that people need. So let's go over some economies real quick. The first economy that we're going to talk about is called a traditional economy. Okay, it's a trade and barter kind of thing. So as you can see this picture right here, this person is trading probably some wheat that we just talked about earlier. Probably not genetically modified wheat, but wheat for a fish. We see this happen sometimes. You see on KSL. Have any of you guys been on KSL and looked at stuff? There's stuff for trade. It's like, well, I'm looking to trade my truck in for a razor, or I want to trade this for that, or maybe I got 3 little kids. I will trade babysitting for food, or babysitting for, I don't know, you know, something like that. So you basically have that trading for one thing or another, not just you provide a service and then you get money. Okay, so that is a traditional way of doing things, is, hey, I have eggs and you know how to build me this dog house and I will give you some eggs. Okay, so that's kind of how the traditional, and that's how most of the world's been for a long time. Then we have also what's called the command economy. So if you see these 2 flags right here, one is Cuba and the other one is the Soviet Union. So the Soviet Union is no longer in power anymore. But they ran what's called a command economy, which basically means that the government owns everything. So you go to the store, the government owns it, right? And the problem with that is everybody's the same. They don't get money. Everybody's paid the same amount. So, for example, Mitchell, I'm assigning you to be a doctor, and Mikkel, I'm assigning you to be a garbage man or woman. And so basically you guys get the same wage, right? But do you want, and you're not going to put a lot of effort in, okay? Isn't the Covert Union Russia? Yeah, I don't know how the Covert, I don't know what that means. So a doctor? Oh, crud. Yeah. Yeah, but you get paid the same as much as a garbage man. How's that? Are you going to work very hard as a doctor, Mitchell? If you're going to get paid as much as a garbage man? Well, anyways, oh, for the G8, that's array. No big deal. But but you're not going to work as hard at being a doctor or studying if you're going to make the same as much as a garbage man, right? So it just doesn't work that way, right? It's like, why work very hard? And do you want to go see a doctor that really doesn't care too much? He doesn't have any motivation to do it. So that's why this command economy or communism has basically failed throughout time, is there's no motivation to do things. You're just assigned a position and you're supposed to do it, and you get the same amount no matter how hard you work. So why work hard? Only work just hard enough to keep surviving, right? No motivation to do anything. Okay, now we have what's called the market economy, which the United States is. So basically, private individuals own businesses and they have products, and we buy which product we think is the best. So wait, would you get trained in school like the doctors does? Yes, correct. You'd have to go to school, you'd have to learn how to do the doctor, everything a doctor does, but you do not get the pay, right? Everybody gets the same amount. That's how communism works. See? So that's why there's no motivation to do anything. Everybody does basically D- work, if we want to put it kind of in a grade scale. So, kind of an interesting way of doing things, huh? So, but the one that works the best is the market economy, which you're talking about right now, which is what the United States is, right? People are motivated for profits, okay? I'm going to work hard. I'm going to do this because I know that if I do, I will get more money. And so it really helps out. So I like to take the example of pizzas real quick. So, you know, I buy Little Caesars pizza quite a bit for my kids because it's cheap, right? But sometimes I like to go and I splurge and I get Ogden Pizzeria because I live in the Ogden area. It's really good pizza, but it costs 3 times as much to get a pizza there. Okay, so basically I get to choose what I want to do, right? So some people pay for price, some people pay for that, and as long as they market a good product, the business will stay afloat and they will be able to continue. If they don't make a good product, they won't stay afloat. And so that's how the market economy works. It's pretty good system. You know, the thing is sometimes it's hard to make money in the market system, so everybody just doesn't get a fair chance, but that's kind of life too. All right, okay. So I want you to type in the chat real quick which economic system you think works the best and why. Traditional, command, or market. It is market, right? Yeah, market economy. Market, okay. And then put that in there why, too. Why do you think it works? A market economy would work the best. Yep, you're willing to put in the work. And when you own a business, so I have a couple little businesses that I have, and I have ownership of them, right? I can make the decisions on what I do with them. And if I fail, it's because I do it. Where it's equal in some things, yes. Maybe not enforcing the same pay. Yeah. Yep. So yeah, it's not everybody's equal, right? And so it's hard for some people that just fail at things. You know, they just don't do very well and they fail at things. Oh, that's all right. I understand. Keyboards, they mess up a little bit. But yeah, I understand. Like, it's, if I fail at my businesses, I fail, right? And, you know, I may lose money on it. But that's the risk that you kind of take. So, very good. Okay, so that leads us to our final project, okay, that we're going to do. You're going to basically do one of two things, okay? You can either use a Microsoft Word, Google document, a WordPerfect, or you can call and give me a speech through my voicemail, okay? I would like you to do this, actually, if you would. Just call and give a speech over my voicemail. Yeah, but I don't have to hear it, though. It's okay. So you just give it over my voicemail, and then I'll go listen to it. It's not bad. So if you write a speech, you need to write a half a page to a page, or if you do it over the phone, you give a speech for 30 seconds. Okay? So you just call and leave state your name on the voicemail, and just give it to me, okay? what it's about is it's going to be about the economic crisis speech. Okay, so everybody kind of knows back in 2008 the economy kind of tanked, you know, over here in the United States, and everybody was worried, people lost their jobs, that kind of stuff. Well, they are having a crisis over in Europe. Okay, and so I want you to research it a little bit. Okay, go to the online library, look at some articles, or even Google it. These are open. Yep, they're going to be your opinion of how to fix it, right? So you need to talk about the crisis. So, for example, the European Union, which we talked about in one of our other lessons, it's going bankrupt. Okay, so countries like Greece, Spain, Italy, they've spent way too much money, and they're being bailed out by other European Union countries like Germany, okay, and France that are bigger and stronger. But that's upsetting the people. So Great Britain or the United Kingdom was in on the European Union, but they don't want to be anymore because all of these other countries are going bankrupt because they're spending more than bringing in taxes. Okay, so that is contributing to the economic things. Also, you have a whole bunch of refugees that are coming over from the Middle East and North Africa, and they have a huge welfare system over there where they're taking care of these people, and it's costing them billions upon billions of dollars to take care of these people. And the ones that are suffering are the citizens of those countries, right? And so basically you just kind of need to talk a little bit about, you know, that you understand some of these issues, okay, of these economic crises, discuss the specific problems that need to be addressed, outline goals for the future. So basically it could be just as simple as, okay, we need to shut down the borders, we can't let these refugees in. But then at the same time, on the other side, it's like, you're really going to turn away women and children that are starving from your country? Okay? And then it's also, you know, for example, it's like, well, the government shouldn't pay out as much money to do that, but then you're saying, okay, what do I take away? Right? Do I take away welfare for people, you know, that really need it? Or do I take away, like, food stamps? Do I take away, do I not have as many police? Okay? Or do I let my roads all break up and they don't get repaired? So it's kind of a big issue. We don't realize how much we rely upon the government as we come and play there. Okay? So here are some examples. This one, like Greece is in debt. Just like many other countries, there's no denying. Okay? And so they just basically just talk about what they're doing. And so you can go, one could go back to riding horse then. Yeah, I guess we could go back to the traditional economy, right? Where we're trading back and forth. So that could be in your speech if you really wanted to. But either write a speech if you don't feel comfortable calling and leaving a voicemail, or call and give me a speech over voicemail, and that will do it. Okay. All right. Any other questions you guys have about any of the other assignments? This is our last class, so ask away. Okay, that leads us right to the exit ticket, so make sure you do the exit ticket, okay? I'll put that in the chat real quick, the exit ticket for you. Oh, I'm sorry, school laptop crashed. That's not any fun. Not any fun. Okay, so I'm going to push out to you. I just sent you the Google Doc right there, and I'll push that out to you as well. So you should have that Google document. And if you guys don't have anything else, I'm going to stop recording and I'll be around for any questions for a while.